Hello, everyone. This is the astrological update for September of 2016. I want to say thank you to all the people out there that are watching the YouTube channel, and I hope that continues to be fun and really interesting, so I appreciate your support. So, astrology, September, we have entered into an eclipse cycle again. And really, if we look at it between August 2nd of this year and the beginning of October, we're kind of in this eclipse cycle, and that's because there's a new moon in Libra at the beginning of October. So there's an eclipse on September 1st. It's in Virgo, and this eclipse is one that is very alive because it's like a baby being born, and this is sort of a portal to a new you. But it's there's a lot of intensity with it because there's so much happening in Virgo. So we've got the North Node in Virgo, we've got Mercury in Virgo, we've got Venus in Virgo, we've got the Sun in Virgo, we'll have the Moon in Virgo, and we have Jupiter in Virgo. And so all of this energy coming out is sort of intense. It's fraught with some uncertainty. It puts a lot of stress on things. And when we have an eclipse that it has the North Node in that conjunction, it pushes you to move your direction or to shift your energy. And you started this process in March because there was an eclipse and an eclipse cycle actually in March in Pisces. And Pisces is kind of a sign that's about clearing everything out and letting everything go and releasing things from the past, which we've already done. But now we're in Virgo. And this is this directional change. Whatever you have been creating in your life is going to change. And it's actually going to change on a physical level because it's in Virgo, which is an earth sign. And this energy wants to kind of really make things happen and get things going in a particular direction. Now, lunar eclipses are important, but solar eclipses are more important. They just have more light. They just have more power. They just have more intensity. And so with this one on the 1st with the North Node in Virgo as well, it's a moment that's, about radical change and rapid change. And Mercury, this speedy planet that is ruling Virgo, is right in the middle of all of it. And then there's this T-square that is happening between Saturn and Sagittarius and Neptune in Pisces. And technically, it will have just turned to move forward, but it's actually kind of looks like it's stationary in the sky. And this eclipse is going to exactly oppose Neptune, which is a little rare. I mean, it's unusual. I don't think anybody that's alive right now has actually seen this pattern. And so you should feel a lot of excitement, but you will feel again, because of the Neptune in Pisces, that you don't really know where you're going. You can't see clearly. The water is really murky, and you're kind of enthusiastic about the journey. You're kind of enthusiastic that you don't know where you're going, and you kind of don't know what you're in for. So I kind of like to think of this like you're on a camping trip, and you've just kind of left it up to the universe, that you're like, oh, I don't know where I'm going to go. I'm just going to follow my nose. And that's sort of exciting. We don't know who we're going to meet, and we don't know where we're going to go, and we don't know how it's going to be. And that's going to be how it's going to feel. So everybody knows that the last 4 years have been difficult, and everything is calling for change. You can see it in the news. You can see how frustrated people are related to the politics. And so this eclipse ignites that change. And because it's so much earth, it's kind of like you feel like your feet are on the ground in some way, so you can push against something to make things happen. And yet there's all this deepening of the emotions, and asking, to get to know yourself on a deeper level. And there's some sort of huge evolutionary step that you're being asked to make, which is a little disconcerting and problematic, because it's kind of woken everybody out of this complacency and this avoidance, that everything will be better tomorrow, and if I just ignore it, it'll go away. And now we kind of know that it's not going to go away, and now we know we have to say something, and we have to kind of stand up to people that are saying things that are inaccurate or harm other people. And so it's this place where we finally have to stand our ground. We have to stand up for ourselves, which is what this eclipse is about. So no one could say at this time that you are numb. And while growth always accompanies discomfort, it's also very hopeful, because we're coming out of this very dark cycle and into a place of more light. But with the Saturn squaring these eclipses, it is going to be just a lot of work, and everybody feels that. Like, everybody wants it to be easy, and I want to believe in ease and flow and grace and all this kind of stuff, the very metaphysical, cosmic kind of way of saying things. And I go, yeah, it's not going to be that way exactly. So it's going to be hard. I mean, Saturn is sitting there, and you're going to have to learn these things you don't want to learn, and you're going to have to do these pieces that you don't want to do, and you're going to have to brace yourself for some tough lessons. And yeah, I know that we want the universe to be kind, but if it's not really clear at this point that just letting things slide and just going into a lollygag pattern is not working, then it's going to get super obvious, because if you try to slip and slide through this cycle, you could probably get hit really hard, because this is really designed to be a wake-up call, and you're supposed to be dealing with things, not avoiding things or numbing out. So those people out there that are like escaping into drugs and alcohol, these are bad aspects to kind of do that. I mean, the universe could hit you kind of hard. I know that everybody out there remembers the years where we were in this place of feeling like we really knew who we were, and we knew where we were going, and we want to go back there and feel that stability for a while. But we're, again, astrologically not in that place. If you really tell yourself the truth about where you're at, you're really not in a stable place. And you weren't in a stable place back then either. You just thought you were. And so you were actually just sort of stuck in a rut, and you were living this very boring life, and you were repeating things. And I'll just say, you're not bored at this point. And each of us is leaning out of our comfort zone. And it's awkward to feel we don't react positively all the time. We want things to align, but for the moment, they're just not going to be that way, because that gigantic wave of the past is the past, and now this gigantic wave that's moving you forward is about change. And this wave of change is actually going to last for years. So think of it like, in the most positive sense, this is your journey about personal enlightenment. And enlightenment is a messy journey. It's destructive by nature. It forces you to really look at things that have been an illusion, and yet to feel the love and awaken to the simple things in life, because expecting certain grandiose outcomes are not going to pan out the way your mind expects. So you're kind of learning to fill yourself up moment by moment, to appreciate little things in nature moment by moment, and still continue on with the journey. But that September 1st eclipse is a big dimensional reality shift in how you live your life. It's a mutable Earth eclipse, which rules the body and the health. And so, you probably should take a look at where you're anxious, where you're depressed, where you see yourself as collapsing around powerful people. You have to change your reality because of the square between the Sun and Saturn. And so you have this unconscious part of yourself, which is Neptune and Pisces, and it's making you look at where you are, where you have been blind. It's also making you look at insanity, and I mean like your own insanity as well as other people's insanity, and what's going on in the outer world and what is going on with people. So you have to kind of be fully conscious. You have to stand in a place of responsible choice. This is a big shift that's happening. The old rules will not work, and they're kind of outmoded anyway. the old reality is being broken down, and it's challenging you to kind of do something different. So what do you want? What do you want in your life? What side are you going to stand on in your life? Are you choosing sanity or insanity? Are you surrounding yourself by sane people or insane people? And let's just say that's going to be really obviously clear as we continue on with this eclipse. I hope in the best sense that the people who are acting insane will actually recognize their own insanity and how much suffering they have been putting other people through because of their own fear, and own that insanity and step forward in a new positive way that is really conscious and respectful and honoring of other people's feelings also. So you cannot aim high right here. I mean, you can't expect grandiose accomplishments under these aspects. You're not going to get there. I mean, the universe is kind of like going earth, 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 earth. Like you need to pay attention to this reality. You cannot be in a fantasy or a projection or an illusion that you believe yourself to be. You have to deal with what you have right now and what is. And you can believe anything you want, but the only things that are going to make it to the end of this particular cycle are the ones that are actually going to be grounded in the reality, and those that have been tested and you can actually see really work. So all the old psychological conditions upon which you have based your reality kind of now look a little off, and they kind of are. So I'm grateful that Pluto is in Capricorn, which is kind of helping us to look at things in sort of a slow, consistent, long-term way, and to kind of help us bring some stability to a completely unstable world. You also have to remember that Pluto is sort of an invisible planet. You can't see it way out there. You have to have this gigantic telescope to look at it. And so it may make you feel as if you have a split in your awareness, that there's this invisible part of yourself, and then there's this physical part of yourself. You kind of have a realistic door, and you have sort of a fantasy illusion door. And we're trying to bring those two into a constructive agreement field. Just reminding everybody that there's also a Mercury retrograde that starts on August 30th and goes through September 21st. And it makes things not go the way you expect. And, then when you've got the sun and the moon and the square with Saturn and all this kind of into the mix, I'd expect yourself to kind of doubt what you think or question what you believe or feel really insecure and not sure about which way to go and trying to figure out if something is true or not true. And that's tricky. Okay. So remember, you have to create the reality of love in all things. This is not going to be easy, and it's especially necessary since you do not really know where you are going. So you might as well be love, so that as you move towards these new directions, that people experience you as that love and then want to contribute or want to help. But if you approach it from a place that I'm angry at the world and I hate God and this is unfair and this is a terrible world, people are going to push away from you because they're also trying to step out of their own negativity, and they're also trying to figure out how to be love. So you kind of need to take some steps. You need to take those steps with a joyous heart, so that the opportunities are more obvious. So when you're in this joyous, open-hearted place, you see the opportunities coming to you. When you're in this negative place, you kind of have blinders on, and you've kind of walled yourself off from those subtle messages coming in. Doubt is definitely going to be there. There are no guarantees this month. I mean, you're going to have to try some things out, and just remember that the door is through Saturn. It's going to be work, and you're going to have to stay in a very practical approach to things and stay very grounded in your present reality and deal with the challenges as they come up one at a time. And just remember to stay open into love, because, Saturn is considered sort of one of the malefic planets, which is sort of a harmful planet. And it's sort of a heavy energy, and it's not really trying to hurt you. It's actually trying to mature you. It's trying to give you that ability to kind of grow up and deal with the world in a real way. So the real pitfall here is if you are living in illusion or in addiction, if you're drinking, you're doing drugs excessively, especially during these transits and especially during these eclipses, you could get hit, and you could get hit really hard. You are not going to be able to escape into delusion or escape the truth of who you are, or where you are off, or where you have really messed up, or where you have been harming others. Because if you do, the universe is going to give you this massive wake-up call, which will be less than pleasant. So think of it like there's a battle being waged in our world, and the heavy packed energies are all in Virgo. The sun, the moon, Venus, Jupiter, Mercury, the North Node. They are forcing truth out of the distortion. They are forcing people to deal with the personal issues that they have been projecting onto other people and situations outside of themselves. It's going to force them to take responsibility for the destructiveness of their words and their actions and their deeds. And I'll just say this, I don't want to be one of those people the universe is hitting because I've been mean or I've been negative. It's like, I would try right now to stay as energetically positive as possible, as kind and compassionate to people as possible, because doing anything else, the backlash actually comes on you. So you have to deal with people and situations right now in a very Saturnian way, which is going to be a lot of effort. It might hurt. It might be difficult. It might not be fun. It might break you down on a number of different levels, but it's good because, you have to break down the illusion in which you have sealed yourself with your ego. You cannot hide from your own dysfunction and your own mental insanity. All this Virgo is very critical and analytical and detail-oriented and realistic. And those illusions of grandeur are exactly that. They're illusions. That's a hard thing to swallow when you've been deeply attached to the illusion. You've been feeding the illusion. You've been supporting the illusion. And Jupiter is going to shift into Libra on September 9th, which is a better balance. And it wants you to give you an honesty door. Sometimes the way astrology looks for me is that it's like pigeonholing. It's like going in one spot and you can't wiggle out of a reality. And that's how this one feels. It's like there's one door, and that door is called reality. There's only one way to go. That's about telling yourself the truth. There's no escape routes. There's no wiggle room. You cannot sleep it away and wake up and it's going to be gone. You just have to deal with what is. And so you've been trapped. And so, and it's going to be a little difficult when you're trapped. And imagination is good, but if it doesn't have substance, it's not going to survive. There are these extreme conditions happening this month. And, if you correctly move with this eclipse cycle, you're going to change drastically all the way to your very core. You won't be the same after this. You kind of have to surrender into taking the medicine that the universe is force feeding you. And let's just say that the universe is not giving you a spoonful of sugar with it. So, the medicine's going to have to go down. You got to take it as best as you can. The timing is not fast. Nothing is going to happen quickly, though you are going to find, because of the movement of Mercury and the movement of Mars, that there's going to be a lot of movement. The end result is not going to happen quickly. The lunar eclipse is in Chiron, is conjunct Chiron, I should say, and it is in Pisces. And this makes emotions really heightened and a bit of a problem. So, old issues, again, are clearly working against you. You have to let a whole bunch of things go again. You are refining some old patterns from the past and allowing yourself to evolve into a better person, and just kind of admit that you are not perfect. You're human. You've made mistakes. your soul is evolving, but hanging on to I'm being right, and I'm the hero of my own story is just wrong. Okay, so it's also a lie. And so there's always more sides of the story than the one you have told yourself in order to feel good. So the power comes in unraveling the lie and stepping into the truth of where you've been protecting yourself and how scared you were. And in doing that, then you become a more active co-creator of your past, and you can move forward. This Chiron, which is the wounded healer teacher, squaring Mars, which is the planet of energy, gumption, and drive, mixed in with this lunar eclipse, square Mars, is a very humbling pattern. So just think of all the squaring, and Saturn is the planet of hard work and struggle, and it just makes it yucky. You're being asked to move into the future from a place of courage. The universe is not hurting you. It's, again, trying to mature you. It's trying to refine you. You have to learn to take corrections by the universe graciously and to not make excuses for the mistakes that you've made in the past. And the first step is just to take responsibility, and then the healing actually will naturally start to happen. And as your reactive side stops being volatile and you just drop into, yeah, okay, that happened, I did that, there's a calmness that'll actually come over. So I'm sure there are moments that people are going to push you the wrong way. And I'm sure there are moments that the Mars energy inside of you wants to blow a gasket. And if you do that, you could actually make things go radically the wrong way, which then makes you take a big hit to force you back on track. So just be fully in the moment and just don't sit on the sidelines of your life. Just stay in the game. Just be open to feedback. I mean, take the feedback to heart that's coming towards you, and make the changes that you need to make. And, the thing that is a warning is that the Neptune in Pisces, with all this squaring of Saturn, is really about the media, and the level of deception that could happen this month in the media is probably the worst you've ever seen. It's probably going to be unprecedented. The level of distortion could be so extreme that knowing what is true is going to take a level of personal finesse and an ability to see through your own self-deception first, and then and only then can you be able to see through the lies and find the real truth. My suggestion is don't believe anything you hear on the media for the whole month of September and probably the whole month of October. Just remember you've been warned. Just remember that if you believe it, it's going to upset you, and it can create a lot of health stresses. So find the facts. Your motto should be factchecker.com. I mean, you probably should just go in that direction, stay in that direction, and go with that no matter what your mind is trying to say. Okay. I hope that helps. Thank you for listening. Thank you so much for being part of my YouTube channel. I hope you have a great day and a great September with a little bit of help from this. Thanks.